So this is section 2, okay, of the listening test. All right, same listening test, C16 test 1. Okay. Okay. Then part 2 is all about a monologue. Okay. What is a monologue? One person. Let me start my video. Okay. Am I visible? Yes. So part 2
Ye-
is all about one person speaking. Okay. So when one person is speaking, there are no other person's clues the way we had in the first one. Okay, then right, then next, also, all these clues are there in the first part, which are missing in part 2. Okay. In part 2, there's a continuous talk by one person. All right. Only one person speaking. And when that one person is speaking, we might probably miss out on the transitions. But there are clear clues of the transitions here as well. We just need to listen to the transitions, observe the tone, the changes in the tone, and accordingly find the transitions. Okay. Now, this question, part 2 question, is about one person speaking to a crowd. What could be the scenarios? एक ही आदमी बहुत सारे लोगों से बात कर रहा है, maybe 10, 15, maybe 1,000, maybe hundreds. So when this would be a case, what is that called as in general language? One person speaking to so many.
Addressing crowd.
Addressing the crowd. Okay. Now he can address or she can address the crowd in the capacity of, in different scenarios. Think when you will talk to different people, 20 people are standing in front of you and you are possible. Just give possibilities, possible positions of the person who's speaking. No? Okay. Think like this. You are a general manager talking to your staff. Okay. You are a CEO of a company talking to the staff. You are probably giving a presentation, okay, to somebody. Okay. You are an employer-employee, that kind of a relationship. You are a customer and a service provider, like a tour guide. I'm a tour guide, and we all are in a zoo or in a museum or at a place which is of some historical importance. And I'm before we go in, I'm just telling you these are the things, this is the layout, oh, we are here, and all these things. So I'm going to explain you that. Or else we are at a tourist spot, okay, and I'm just going to explain you when we go inside, there's a registration counter, water counter, washroom, this break, that break, cafe, alana falana. Okay. I can be also somebody who is into administration and I might give you some information on a theater. Okay, that, oh, this is our current theater, and now we are going to change this to something else. And we are talking about the layouts. Okay. We are also talking about the business. All right. So these are the typical scenarios. Also, one more thing which I could think of is, yes, I'm somebody who is a professor or a scientist or a researcher and giving some information about my research. Okay. It can be as simple as cheese. Okay. A topic like cheese. So I might probably talk about how cheese was invented in some century, then what kind of milk was there then, and how they realized that I can form cheese out of this milk. Okay. What was the initial process that humans realized that this is a product which is edible? Okay. Or I can also talk about the process of cheese making. I can talk about process of wine making. I can talk about history of tea. Okay. ऐसा काही भी असू शकतं. ऐसा कुछ भी हो सकता है. Did you understand? Any questions?
No.
Good. All right. Now, how many questions you can see in the frame? 11, 12,
4.
13, 14. Okay. So there are 20 questions in part 2. Okay. Not 20. Next 10 questions. Okay. From 11 to 20. Sorry. So there are 10 questions in this part 2. And these 10 questions are again divided into 2 sections. So I can see 4 at a time. That means remaining 6 will be based on some other type of question. These are called as MCQs, multiple choice questions. I have to select only one and I have to tick. Okay. And my answer is not 1923. Okay. My answer is A or B or C. Those who are taking computer-based test, that's not at all a problem. But those who are taking a paper pencil test, people make this blunder. Okay, they write, oh, this is the answer, or this is whatever, whichever answer you choose. And they write there 1924, 1926. Although it might be the right answer in the real scenario, like B is the answer or A is the answer, you'll not get points. All right, because here we expect to write only A or B or C, and that to capital, not small. All right, with those instructions, let's start. Again, it's going to be in a sequence. So don't randomly think that she's going to talk about this and then this, okay? It's going to go one after the other in the same sequence. Let's start. Hold on. Let me share the sound.
वाढत्या वयाबरोबर मसल्स 30% पर्यंत कमी.
Now, when you watch these ads, also watch these ads for your essay writing. Okay, I just thought, or for your spoken English. All right, how they
Not seen.
provide
I've not seen
explanation.
ad
Sorry.
for. I've not seen an ad for like 8 to 9 years now.
Oh, you have paid YouTube.
Yes.
You have YouTube Premium. Okay, all right, good. So if ever you're watching ads anywhere, okay, in the newspaper you're watching or reading or on the TV, if it is getting broadcasted, you need to understand whenever they have these ads. See, first of all, she's wearing that coat, okay. For us, mentally, it feels that she's a doctor or somebody. She may not be a doctor, but then the way she's wearing that white coat, they want to portray that somebody, intellectual, maybe a doctor, is giving some kind of information. Okay, see this 30% muscle loss.
होऊ शकतात, ज्यामुळे होते ताकद कमी, परिणाम थकवा. म्हणून माझा भरोसा.
Okay, paranam thakwa. That means she's saying, okay, that means the effect of that. This will lead to this. So this is my solution. All right. This is how they speak and they portray that their ads is a solution to a problem. Same thing you can use in essay writing also. I just thought I'd highlight it.
यामध्ये आहेत.
Now they are saying why my product is. They'll give you all the details of the product. So this is how you explain your point also. Why this solution is the right solution. You explain what's there in the solution.
High protein, calcium, vitamin D सारखे 32 nutrients.
Okay. And this will lead to improvement of so and so, so and so. Oh, it makes me compulsory to watch this, no? YouTube Premium is the answer for this. Okay, let's focus. Stevenson's was founded in, okay, now listen carefully. When there are 3 years given in MCQs, okay, please note if you wish to or start observing from every question on from now onwards. In MCQs, they are going to use all the options, which means you're going to listen 1923 in the conversation somewhere, 1924 in some other context, and 1926 in some other context. Now, 3 things happened on these 3 years. Okay, on these 3, in these 3 years, I should say. Yeah. So I am supposedly finding here foundation day or something like that. Okay. So maybe something else happened. We opened a branch in something, or we started training people on something. We started selling on something. Okay. So they are going to give you different days and dates probably. I need to understand which is the answer I am looking out for. Okay. So don't go by, oh, I heard 23. Tick, that's the answer. Listen, what happened in 1923? Same is the story for ABC, like healthcare industry. They are going to say healthcare in some way, not necessarily healthcare as a word, but maybe hospitals. They are going to say medical. They are going to say doctors or something like that. Automotive. What are the other words for automotive industry? They might use something else. Automotive means, what is the reference that they can give? Vehicles. Okay. Cars, transport. They might use some other synonyms. And machine tools. Okay. So they are going to use some synonyms sometimes. I need to understand the question. So my entire focus is not the answer, but this patch. Okay. So what I'm going to do mentally, I'm going to block these as if I don't have the answer. These are my filling the blanks. Just assume that. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
As if was founded in and I have a blank there. Okay, that's what my mind should be thinking of, ideally. Okay, if you're searching for the answers, then we have a problem. Okay, because most of the people go for the options which they hear first. Okay, so we have this hearing versus listening issue here. Now you read these 4 questions. Read 11, 12, 13, 14. What are we looking at? The foundation date for a year for Stevenson's. Second.
Stevenson's manufactured goods for.
No.
What does this?
You missed out the most important word.
Originally.
Yes. Originally means पहले, सबसे पहले उन्होंने क्या किया. You know, there are many companies, okay, or businesses, they start with something and they do something else later on. Okay? You
Yeah.
understand? Yes. Or they might start with something till the time the original plan, whatever, their actual plan, not original plan, but actual plan comes into picture. Or they start with something and they diversify. Not necessarily they close it, but they diversify. So the word originally is the key word of this question. Next, 13th one.
What does the speaker say about the company premises?
Yeah. What is company premises? What did you imagine? Company
Premises means
premises. Premises means
their area
their
in
area, right?
factory.
Okay, so imagine a gate and some place or a factory. Yes, because it's a manufacturing setup that we can see. I can clearly see manufactured goods for. Then 14th one.
The program for the work experience group includes
Okay, what did you imagine work experience group?
interns,
Yeah, so they are like human beings standing there and there's a program for them, and what does it include? Okay, now listen carefully and piece by piece you can look at the words, but don't look at this as, oh my god, there's so much of text on my page, okay, or on the screen. Listen carefully. You have like almost 20-25 seconds to look at the questions.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 14.
There'll be a lot of background. Listen when she's going to talk about the
Good
foundation.
morning, everyone, and
Good
welcome
morning.
to Stevenson's, one of the country's major manufacturers of metal goods. Thank you for
Introduction.
choosing us for your 2 weeks of work experience.
So she's talking to whom? For the people who have chosen this company for 2 weeks. Interns. You understood? This is how you build your image. So there are people sitting in front of her or maybe standing in front of her. I don't know. She's taking them for tour or she's giving them some presentations. All right. So she imagine the scenario and then go ahead.
My name is Julia Simmons, and since the beginning of this year, I've been the managing director. Stevenson's is quite an old company. Like me, the founder, Ronald Stevenson, went into the steel industry when he left school. That was in 1923. He set up this company when he finished his apprenticeship in 1926, although he actually started making plans 2 years earlier in 1924. He was a very determined young man.
Did you understand? Did you hear all the three?
1926.
Yes. Okay. So 1923 was also the date. Okay. 1926 is actually founded. And 2 years earlier, he already thought of it, but he didn't find it. Sorry, he didn't establish it. Okay. No, the foundation happened only in 1926. Okay. So yes, indeed is the answer. So when you're looking at it, you can then parallelly look at it. Okay. I'm not saying block it completely, but I want you to understand that when you're listening, don't read. Okay. When you're listening, completely focus on imagining. Okay. Just graphically or visually connect this listening and convert it into images. Next.
Stevenson's long-term plan was to manufacture components for the machine tools industry, although in fact that never came about, and for the automotive industry, that is cars and lorries. However, there was a delay of 5 years before that happened, because shortly before the company went into production, Stevenson was given the opportunity to make goods for hospitals and other players in the healthcare industry. So that's what we did for the first 5 years.
What's the answer?
Machine. Machine. Machine tools for industry.
Okay. Originally, he manufactured. That means it's a past tense. Okay. What was his long-term plan? Okay. Hold on. Let me rewind it for you and help you to imagine. Okay. The
Never
answer is not
manufactured
machine
young
tool.
man. In 1924, he was a very determined young man.
Young man.
Stevenson's long
Now, see, there's always a little more pause, okay, little awkward pause, and then the 12th one would start, okay?
term plan was to manufacture components for the machine tools industry.
The machine tools was clearly heard by us, okay? And that was a long-term plan. When you say long-term plan, imagine for yourself, you're in 2025, maybe in another 20 years, I'm going to do this. That's a long-term plan, okay?
Although, in fact, that never came.
Please write down these words. Although, write down in your notebook and write down contrast words. You can write the title as contrast. Listen for the contrast in your listening. Okay, the audios, contrast words. They are the links. Okay, although, however, but, while, whereas. Okay, there could be more, but then these are the most prominent ones. When you hear these words, you should understand what she said before was made neutral, or it was, if she said positive, it was negative. She said negative, it was positive. That's called as a contrast. Okay, so it was not the answer. Whatever she said was not the answer. So she said the long-term plan was this, although that means nahi hua wo, it never came up. Okay, or that this thing never worked. Okay, although.
Manufacture components for the machine tools industry. Although, in fact,
I thought that's the answer. Okay, long-term plan was this. Okay, so maybe he must have started with that only. But the moment he said the long-term plan was, okay, that means it never happened. Okay, मुझे ना actually Australia जाना था. When you say that, what does that mean? नहीं गए तुम Australia. Yeah, मुझे ऐसा evening को बाहर जाना था. When you say that, okay, that means you are not able to do that. All right, that's the tone of the language or the words that are being used.
That never came about. And for the automotive industry, that is cars and lorries.
Automotive industry. So she uses these words, that cars and lorries. What happened to that?
However, there was a delay.
Again, however, contrast. So I thought, oh, that's the answer now, automotive industry. But then she said, however. Lekin, usme bhi problem hua. What was the problem?
5 years before that happened.
Because so there was a delay of 5 years. Okay, so I just imagined 2025, 2030. I was ready to cut the ribbon, or I was ready to manufacture, but I had to wait for 5 years.
Shortly before the company went into production, Stevenson was given the opportunity to make goods for hospitals. And
hospitals. So when I think of hospitals,
healthcare industry.
Yes, okay, plus sign. Don't imagine no hospital necessary, plus sign. Anything related to health is plus sign. Okay, जो medicine shops के बाहर होता है ना, that plus sign. Okay.
And other players in the healthcare industry.
Now
so that's what we did for the first 5 years.
So that's what she said, so that's the conclusion. That's what we did for the first 5 years. Okay, जब तक delay हुआ तब तक हम लोग ने क्या किया? Automotive industry. Did you understand what happened? How transitions work? Okay, and how these words, see, they speak very fast, and we are concentrating only on the keywords. Healthcare, automotive, machine tools. She said everything. Okay, so it's all jumbling in our head. So I can understand what you are going through, what your mind is listening. Okay, but it's not processing. Your mind is right now hearing. Listening means with full concentration, we are able to build images. That's listening. Okay, right now your ears are listening to the words automotive. Ah, that's the answer. Machine tools. Ah, that's the answer. Healthcare. That's the answer. Okay, so your ears are responding to the sounds of the words which you are getting from these ABC. Okay, and that's a trap that they lay. So this is for every MCQ that you're going to address from now onwards. First rule, read the question carefully. Don't leave any keyword behind. For example, originally was a keyword. Founded was a keyword. Okay, you need to understand what's the word which can tweak the question or can tweak the answer of this. Okay. Second thing, if you have time, only then read the options. Otherwise, assume that you have not read the options and you write your own words. Okay. So if I would have been in this case and I didn't really read those options, just assume hypothetically, I would write there for hospitals, and I would just go ahead. Okay, that's what we did for the first 5 years. I would just write hospitals or plus sign and I would go ahead. Okay, if I don't have time to look at the options, if the options are very long, right now they are very short, but still. Okay, and understand if you're confused, I heard automotive also, I heard machine tools also, then probably these are not the answers. Okay, the answers are the ones which are not mentioned clearly. They use some synonyms for that. Okay, all right. Worst case scenario. I'm
Over
giving.
the years, we've expanded the premises.
Over the years, so I'm imagining that over the years, I'm just imagining from 2000 to 25, just for my reference, we expanded. So I just imagined this was our area of company and we have expanded. So I see this area has expanded. Okay, bigger space.
Considerably. We were lucky that the site is big enough, so moving to a new location has never been necessary.
Negative thought. Okay, what's the negative thought? This is our location, we've expanded. So moving. So for me, moving is like a Google map. Okay, from one point to the other point when you put the Google map, from here to here distance. Okay, that's moving. So that's not. So I put a red cross. That's not the option.
However, the layout is far.
However, so she gave a contrast that we have a bigger space. So we really don't want to move. No moving. However, there's still some problem in that space.
From ideal for modern machinery and production methods. So we intend to carry out major refurbishment of this site over the next 5 years.
Okay, so what they're going to do for the next 5 years? No, you didn't hear? Is there a problem in the accent? Is she speaking too fast?
Yes, kind of.
Major deal for modern machinery and production methods. So we intend to carry out major refurbishment of this site over the next 5 years.
So what is she going to do? Did you hear that?
Refurbishment.
Refurbishment. Okay, so what is refurbishment in your head? What did you imagine?
Renovation.
Yes.
Completely redesigning.
Okay. So now you look at this option. What is she saying out of this? A, B, C.
Company has no plan to move.
Excellent. Okay. So refurbishment she is going to do in the same space. Okay. But they are not given that they are going to refurbish. That's not the answer. Okay. But she definitely told you that we are not going to move. So whenever you're listening, you listen to the key points. Maybe one of them is the answer. Okay. Because the same answer could have been we are doing renovations in the same space. Okay. We have expanded or else we are not moving anywhere. So there are 3 ways to answer this. I just need to read this. If I'm going to read every word from this, it might take a little more time than expected. Okay. And the last one, listen carefully to imagine.
I'd better give you some idea of what you'll be doing during your 2 weeks with us, so you know what to expect. Most mornings you'll have a presentation from one of the managers to learn about their department.
What did you imagine?
Presentation.
Yes. From?
The departments.
The department head. So imagine you are an intern, sorry. Okay. And you have gone to a company sitting here and somebody is coming and giving some kind of presentation. You're just watching. Or you can imagine you're the manager, you're giving the presentation and there are like 15, 20 kids. Okay. Freshers like that.
Starting this morning with research and development.
So I'm going to give, with respect to my department, I'm going to give you the information. Isn't it logical that when you go to a company, somebody is going to come and going to talk about their own departments, right? So starting with which department?
HR.
You didn't listen.
You'll have a presentation from one of the managers to learn about their department. Starting this morning with research and development.
And your R&D.
R&D. Okay, so I'm the manager of R&D, giving you the information on R&D. Okay, listen carefully now.
Starting this morning with research and development. And you'll all spend some time in each department, observing what's going on and talking to people, as long as you don't stop them from doing their work altogether.
Okay, did you imagine? Okay. In the past, I remember in the afternoon, there used to be news for, okay, dumb and deaf. Okay. So the one who is giving the news, and then you should say, India, Pakistan, they used to give like that. This is Pakistan, this is India, something like that. Okay. And they used to use the hand gesture. Okay. Similarly, I was trying to help you that, you have to go to every department, each department. So I was imagining departments like this. Okay. In a sequence. Okay. And observe and talk. So you can look at these things. You can also ask questions or talk. Okay. As long as you don't disturb them, negative, don't disturb them. That means they'll leave the job and just talk to you. No, that's not happening. While working only, you can ask some questions. All right? Did you understand?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Now let's listen.
Past, a teacher from your school has come in at the end of each week to find out how the group were getting on, but your school isn't able to arrange that this year.
In the past, okay, I think I started past, okay. In the past, that means she's referring to the history, okay. In the past, some teacher used to come and then check all these things like how are my students doing and all. But now the word but is not really prominently said. She quickly said, but your school isn't, again the negative cross, okay, isn't able to do that. That means teacher is not going to come. So what does that program include? You read now.
And see. See. Talks by staff
Yes.
without disturbing them.
Yes. Okay. Now many students have given me this answer. Research. Because they heard R&D, research and development, right? Or they have given the answer teacher. Because your teacher used to come something like that. So you hear the words and choose the answer. 90%. So out of 10, I would say people get only 6 to 7 or sometimes only 2 or 3 questions. Okay, right. In MCQs. Why? Because they go by the words which are given in the answer, which means when they are hearing or when they are listening to the audio, they're also looking at the option. Okay. And somewhere they're not able to make the story their complete picture and only on based on half, listen, whatever they have half big story, that's how they are picking the option. Okay. A or B, but that's not the option. C is the answer. Presentations by the heads of the department. Starting with research and development, that's the reason research comes into picture. Did you understand? These are all traps. All right. So somebody who is very smart enough to listen, okay, is the one who is going to score that band 8, band 9. All right. And it's very easy to score band 8, band 9 with the basic understanding of these contrast words and the traps and all. The only problem might be, which I'm foreseeing, would be the accent problem. Okay. Do you have any accent problem? Do you think that she's rolling words very fast?
Kind of.
Okay. So if that happens, you need to get into prediction. Okay. If you are the manager, if you are somebody who's giving the speech to the interns, okay, what kind of stories you're going to give? For example, if I tell you that I'm going to make cheese sandwich. Okay, cheese sandwich. Cheese sandwich. Now, what did you imagine? You didn't hear the word cheese. You heard only cheese. What kind of a word? It's a sandwich. So what kind of a word would fit in there? Cheese. You
Cheese.
understand what I'm saying? Okay, so even if you hear these words incomplete at times, you're able to guess, okay, what kind of words are rolling out of my mouth. Understand? So when you are in the scenario, you are able to gauge that. All right. We are going to go for tiger protection, conservation refers. Okay. Which animal? Which animal? My sentence should replay in your head. We are going to go for tiger conservation programs. No? That means you have to train to listen fast. Okay. So they are not fast actually. It's just that we are not in the zone. Okay. Mentally, we are not in the zone. That's the reason we think that, oh, what did I hear just now? Okay. But when I tell you today, I'm going to talk about wildlife. And we are going to start some tiger conversation. Which animal did I mention just now?
What?
No, before that. We are going to start with tiger conservation. Which animal? Which
Wildlife.
conservation? Which conservation did I say?
Wildlife conservation.
In that, which animal we are going to have conservation efforts? Where are the conservation efforts in real life? Kisko bachao in India? Which wildlife is more? Huh? Uh-huh.
Tigers.
Yeah. So this is based on logic and general knowledge, and then you listen and then you make some connections. Just in the previous lecture, you remember you said that they are building tallest. Now children are building tallest what? That's a collocation. In your mind, tower was the word which was the answer without even listening to the audio.
No, it was
Yes.
Subhajit.
Yeah, it was logic. Exactly. So we are going to get the topics which are something which are around us. Okay. They are not the topics like some technical knowledge or some science is required. Okay. You understand that these topics are part of your life somewhere. Okay. You are supposingly listening is as a third person. Okay. And watching it like a movie. Okay. When I hear the sentences, I imagine them. Okay. I arrange them in my movie. So you're the director of this movie. Okay. So a director in the sense you are the one who is just from a book to a movie, you're just making those clips ready. Got it? Did you
Yes.
understand? Try. I'm not saying it's easy, or I'm not saying it's really hard. It's not that challenging if you start focusing on, the signpost which I gave you, the contrast words and the transition words. All right. If you do that, you'll be able to get it. Okay. Any questions, any concerns?
No.